VTP, which basically stands for VLAN Trunking Protocol. Now, guys, what was the need of VTP? Like, why VTP was introduced and why, why we are using this VTP protocol? And if you will see that this VTP is basically a Cisco proprietary protocol, so it is only going to work in the Cisco devices. But yes, see, guys, before like the application programming interfaces APIs were introduced on Cisco platforms, like till the time they were not available on the Cisco platforms. So to configure a switch was actually a manual process. Like, what does that mean? Like, for example, if you are having hundreds of switches, so like, and you are a network engineer where you are having hundred of, we can say switches and many multiple VLANs configured on the switches. So for each type of the traffic, you'll need a separate VLAN. Then you will be going on every switch and creating multiple VLANs physically, going on the devices, or like, you are taking the remote access, or accordingly, like the configuration is totally manual. And this is actually, a very much time consuming process because in today's network, if you are having more than 50 switches, so it's not a relevant solution to go on the devices and configure VLANs multiple, or like single on each and every device. Getting, guys?
If you enjoyed the content of the video, don't forget to like and share the video and subscribe to our channel.
So just to reduce the burden of the provisioning of the VLANs on switches, we can say, like Cisco came up with this solution, which was VTP, VLAN Trunking Protocol. Now, what basically this VTP does that, it copy the VLAN database from one switch to another. Like, for example, if you are having three switches here, like let's say these are your three switches, switch one is connected to somewhat switch three, and switch three is connected to some switch four. So on this switch one, if you have like 20 VLANs and you only want these 20 VLANs on this devices and this device, so in that case, VTP is going to help you out because it is going to copy the VLAN database from one switch to another switch inside the network. Okay, guys. Now, guys, if you have studied about VTP, so how many versions of VTP you have studied? VTP versions. So what are the name of the versions? So first of all, we have VTP version 1, then we have VTP version 2, then we have VTP version 3. So let's put this. So these are the, three types of VTP versions. So let me quickly tell you what is the difference between version 1, version 2, and version 3. So let's start with VTP version 1. So in this VTP version 1, it supports the standard of, from the VLANs from 1 to 1005. So these are the number of VLAN ranges which were supported in VTP version 1. Getting, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this is by default version of all the switches. Like basically all the switches are, default version of Cisco Catalyst switches is always the VTP version 1. Okay. On Cisco switches. Clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Now we do have VTP version 2, which is widely, used in the networks where devices of Cisco are used. So VTP version 1 and VTP version 2 are not compatible with each other. The first point. Version 1 is not compatible with version 2. Like it's not like if you have configured version 1 on the one switch and version 2 on the next switch, and you are assuming that the network will work. So in that case, the network is not going to work. And VTP version is, dictated by the VTP server in the domain. Here we do have VTP server by default. So every device is, by default in the state of VTP server. And version 2 provides some additional features like, it does support the token ring technology, VLAN consistency, and like, domain independent data which is traversing through the like from one VLAN to another VLAN. So clear, guys?
Sir, how much VLAN it support as in V1?
In VTP V1 or V2?
No, no, sir. As well as V1, it's got process of 5 VLAN. So how much VLAN is support in V2?
Yes, like it also supports the same number, 1 to 1005.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Now, lastly, you do have some VTP version 3. Now, VTP version 3 is somewhat new to you as well. Like this is a part of CCNP. So it is supported on, some limited devices of Cisco. Limited devices of Cisco, and all those limited devices are in the category of Cisco Catalyst switches, like which are the smart devices. And it is the most flexible version from all of these versions. So most flexible from all of these versions, and like we can say, it supports the concept of private VLAN. Like here you can create some private VLANs, and then like it has improved VTP authentication. Now we do have this authentication which is very much improved as as compared to version 2, because version 1 do not support authentication. So it also supports the concept of extended VLAN, which is like a part which we have skipped in the VLAN. So this was like here I was discussing this, the concept of extended VLAN. So this device supports the VLAN range from 1006 to 4094. So these are the supported number of VLANs which are supported by the VTP version 3. Okay, guys.
Yes, sir. Sir, this private VLANs means?
This is somewhat like the VLANs which we do, configure. Like it's nothing but same as VTP version 1 or 2. The
Okay.
separate VLANs which you are configuring.
Okay. Sir, authentication means like in while configuring, we will initially do like we will create domain name, password.
No, no,
For
that
that
is
pass.
like that is the mandatory part which we have to do as well. But like if you remember in some routing protocol authentication we have done, like we were blocking the packets from one destination to
Yes, sir.
another, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay.
So that's the part. Any other queries, guys? So now see, guys, always remember that VTP version 1 and VTP version 2, like they are a kind of limited numbers for the VLAN 1 to 1005, VTP version 1 and version 2. They are only for 1 to 1005. Now, whenever we are talking about the VTP, VTP version 3, VTP version 3. So here, like we will be using the extended VLAN concept, like, this allows the full range of VLAN, for example, 1 to 4094. So it is going to allow you, like it is not like that you are not allowed to create this VLAN like 1 to 1005 on VTP version 3, but it's not like that. You can configure from 1 to 4094. Getting, guys? So these, we do have VTP servers and multiple domains when we are configuring the VTP. So why we are talking about these servers is like because these servers are the process through which the VTP is gonna it's just going to advertise in the network through these servers only, because clients are not able to advertise the data inside the network. They simply synchronize with the data which is received by the server, guys, right? Now we do have some VTP modes here. Anyone? What are the names of VTP modes?
Sir, server,
Client mode.
client, transparent,
Server,
client, transparent.
server, client, and transparent. So these are the three modes, but we do have one more mode here, which is the off mode. So now guys see, like whenever we do talk about this VTP server mode, so server is some like where we can create the VLANs, delete the VLAN, modify the VLANs, same as in the VTP, right? And this is
Yes, sir.
by default mode on all the Cisco devices, server mode. Guys, getting now what I'm saying here?
Yes, sir.
Or do you want to see these things practically?
No, sir. By default,
So
all the switches will be in server mode. By our requirement, we will change it to like a client mode or transparent mode.
exactly, which you have already seen in the VTP
Yes.
labs.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, like this VTP server can advertise the standard VLAN range, which is from 1 to 1005. You are not allowed to create extended VLANs on the server mode, like from the range of 1005 to 4094. So it is not going to support. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So I'm writing here 1 to 1004, sorry, 1005, and it is only going to advertise if you are having trunk ports inside the network, right? And if you have trunk, like, the synchronization of their VLAN database with the switch, and they are going to synchronize with the help of what? Guys, if you remember configuration revision value,
Yes, sir.
anyone who don't know config revision value?
Sir, don't know.
Uh, okay. So, just please allow me for 10-15 minutes when we will be moving on the labs. So I will explain you what is configuration revision value. And like this, if you feel like if you are having any kind of doubt in any of the word you're not getting, so just please openly say it, because I'll be able to answer your queries if you'll be asking. Now, the next is we do have the VTP client mode. So VTP client mode is something, which you already know that you cannot delete or create the VLANs, or you are not allowed to modify the VLANs in this VLAN, like in this client switch. And it uses the VLANs of VTP server. You're not allowed to create here. So whatever the VLANs you have created on the VTP servers, so it is going to use, like for example, we have three switches. This is server switch, this is client switch, and this is transparent switch. So now on this server switch, if you have created VLAN 10 and 20, so from this range from 1 to 1005, you can configure any VLAN here. And like what the client is able to do, like client is not able to send or we are not able to create, modify or delete the VLANs. So it is simply going to accept the VLANs from the server. So if you have created this interface as trunk, so in that case, this server will pass the traffic of this VLAN to this client switch, and then client switch will synchronize the database, and like 10 and 20 VLAN will be there on this client switch as well. Yes, Karun, clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now, like this VTP client mode can only forward the advertisements on the trunk port, like or out of the trunk port, which are being received from the server mode. Okay. Then we do have this transparent mode, which is like very much different from the server or client. So like this is this it actually doesn't participate in the VTP server practically, if we will see, right? So for example, on this transparent mode, you are allowed to create, delete, modify the VLANs. You can, like do anything on this server switch, and nothing will be synchronized on the other switches. So like, because the information of this client or like transparent, it does not participate in the VTP domain, guys. Okay. Getting, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And its configuration revision value will be always 0.
Yes, and here configuration revision value will be always 0. So no number will be increased. Like configuration revision number, Karun, it is nothing but like VTP uses an index number to, put the entries, like what is the data which is like forwarding. So every time you are doing some configuration, so the value will increase to from 0 to, like how many configurations you have done. Okay.
Sir, it means if we configure might be 3 to 4 VLANs, the revision value will increase to 4 or
No,
starting.
like see, for example, if your switch is first of all for the first time the switch is having the configuration revision number, like it starts from 0 to, and it's infinite. So firstly it will be 0. Now see, once you have configured the VTP domain inside the switch,
Okay.
and then the value will become increased to 1. Then after, if you are creating one VLAN, for example VLAN 10 you have created,
Okay.
then your number will increase to 2. Then if you have deleted that VLAN, then your number will increase to 3. So like this, every time whenever you will be doing some configuration, so the number will be like, a kind of index number which is used to keep the record of the
If you do
VTP.
any changes in the VTP, then it will
Mhm.
vision value will increase. Either we delete it or we create it.
Yes.
Okay, sir.
And like if you have deleted trunk interfaces, if you have enabled other trunk interfaces, in that case as well, like, it will increase, because that index number is basically used to keep the count of database of the VLAN.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So, like this VTP transparent mode, it is only local to the switch which is configured. So here, whatever you are doing, so now it is not going to reflect on the server nor on the client. So now, what about this VTP mode? So VTP transparent mode, like it does not send or receive the VLAN database, not from the server switches, but it can simply pass the VLAN database of other switches connected to it. Like for example, through this transparent mode, we have one more switch which is here, and this is your client switch. This is client one. Now this trunk, this port is also trunk, and this port is also trunk. So this transparent switch, like whatever the VLANs you are creating here will will only stay here, and it is going to simply bypass the traffic of this server switch like 1020 VLAN, and the same traffic will be processed to this client, and 20 and 10 VLAN will be there. So, but it is not going to store the any VLAN database on its, or like inside its database. Okay, guys, clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now how we are going to configure this, VTP. So initially we have to configure some domain name, password, and then we do have to select the VTP version, which version we are using. And like before that, like, switches must be in the same VTP domain to share the input, or like, the VLAN database. Like for example, if the switches are not in the same VTP domain, like on the server switch you have created pynet.com, on the client you have created pynet.com, and on the transparent if you have created pynet.com, but if you are using the small p, so it is not going to, recognize that domain. And like, because domain names and passwords are case sensitive here. Okay, guys. And only servers are allowed to change the database of VLAN. No other switch is allowed to do that. Okay. So guys, is it okay that we can go with the rest of the theory, or do you want me to show you a quick lab of VTP?
Sir, with the help of this VTP, we can just only create VLANs, but we are unable to assign interfaces to it.
Yes, like to assign the interfaces, then in that case, you are going to, use some remote access tools like SSH or Telnet.
Okay.
So accordingly,
Then it
then
will
you will. Mhm.
reflect on entire switches, sir.
On every switches.
Okay, okay. On
No,
every
no,
switch
no,
we have.
no, no, no. See, for example, let me make it more clear. If this is your switch one, and this is your switch two, and this is your switch three, this is your switch four. This is transparent. This is client one. This is client two, and this is server by default. Now on this server switch, you have created some VLAN 10, 100, and 200. Three VLANs you have configured. So they will
Okay.
automatically reflect on this as well.
Yes,
10,
sir.
100, and 200. Now what you are saying that, we can apply the interfaces as well. So for example, like, this server is connected to this device. So whenever you are configuring the VLAN, so on every switch, it is not possible that the same interface would be there. Might be there are only three computers on the switch,
Yes, sir.
and like might be there are two devices here on the switch. So all these three devices inside this network. Now see, from this system, like which is connected to the server, you can take the telnet access of this device.
Yes, sir.
If this is configured with SSH, so you can take the SSH access from this device. So, but you have to take the access of these devices if you want to execute the interface in these, respective VLANs, because VTP is not going to pass the interface traffic, because in every switch the interface requirement might differ from every other VLAN department.
Okay, sir. And then at that situation, we have to type like telnet space, which how to log
Yes.
in, sir? It's telnet space, like the console port for this, which we will create some console port and we'll assign one IP address.
No, no, not like that. See, whenever we are like, have we not completed the telnet concept?
No, sir. Just we have done on router, sir.
Okay.
In command interface, we do like a telnet space router ID.
Okay, no problem. I'll let you know how we are going to do in the labs as well. So no
Okay.
worries. Okay. So now see, let me show you a quick lab of VTP so everything will be clear. Then I'll be explaining you different things on VTP, which I think you have not heard, or like that is also a part of your CCNP program. So I'm taking three, not three, four switches we are taking. And this will be your server switch inside the department. This will be your client switch, CLI client one. Guys, you are getting my screen?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
This will be your transparent switch. This will be your client again. Sorry. So this will be your client two. So client one and two I have mentioned because if I will be writing client, so packet tracer won't allow me to use same name on two different devices. So that is why I have written the name client one and two. So don't get confused. So now let me share my entire screen so I can show you the configuration part as well. So I'll connecting all these devices first of all, server with the client, client with the transparent, and transparent with the client again. Now if you will see here in this server, I'll go in this CLI, enable your terminal, host name, server switch. This is your server. Now if you will see, I have only changed the host name. Show VTP status. So guys, see now. Show VTP status. I have run the command and it is showing VTP version is capable of version 1 and 2. And VTP current version running, which is version 1, which we have already discussed in the slides, like VTP 1 is the default version 1. And domain name, as of now, it's nothing. Pruning mode we will be getting later on. Generation traps device ID. And see, VTP operating mode is by default, all the devices are in the server mode. And maximum VLAN supported locally are 255. Number of existing VLAN are 5, which are the reserved VLANs like 1, 1000, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And configuration revision number, the index number, it is 0 by default in the starting. Everything clear in this part, guys?
Yes, sir.
Now, like if you will verify the same thing on all the devices, so this is your server switch, I have renamed it. And if you'll go on the client again, CLI. So before changing the host name, I will verify you. Show VTP status. You can see by default it is server mode and VTP version is 1. So same on all the devices if you'll verify on this transparent as well. So this will also be your server mode, VTP status. See guys, it's also server. So I'm changing the host name. Host name transparent. Now this is your transparent switch. Let's change the host name to client 1 and host name client 1. This will be your client 2. Client 2. Now we have renamed the devices. Now if we will see guys, what we are going to do as per the topology which I have written here, like which device will be what. So we are going to configure these things. Okay, clear guys?
Yes, sir.
So now guys see how you are going to configure the VTP in these devices. So let's get started with the server switch. So configure terminal is the command. Then you have to write VTP domain name. Let's say jatin.com. I'm writing. Okay, why it is showing VTP domain name domain. Okay, not name. VTP domain jatin.com is the command. Okay. So you can use any of the name, but the command is first command is VTP domain. Now it is changing the VTP domain name from null to jatin.com. Now you are going to assign the password here. So VTP password 12345. It has already set the password. VTP version, and if you'll put question mark. So this device is capable of VTP version 1 and 2 as well right now on this Cisco switch. So let's select version 2. VTP mode and question mark. See, three modes are there: client, server, and transparent. So off is somewhat I will let you know. So like let's put this mode to server. Device mode already exists in server. The configuration same on client 1. VTP domain.
So on all devices, we have to use same domain name and password.
Yes, exactly. With case sensitive as well it is.
Okay.
So VTP password I have applied. VTP version and version also same, like you cannot change the version. And lastly your VTP mode, which is client mode. So now do you have changed the device to the client mode. If you will verify, do show VTP status. So you will see now the VTP operating mode is in client. Okay guys. And configuration remember increase to 1 in on, like as I told you, when you are going to do any configuration for the first time, like after configuring the domain name and all these VTP things, so then in number will increase to 1. Clear guys?
Yes, sir.
So now let's do configure this transparent as well. So VTP domain jatin.com, password 12345, VTP version 2, VTP mode transparent. Now you can verify show VTP status. So you can see now this operating mode is in transparent. Here you can see. Now let's configure this as client also. VTP domain jatin.com, password 12345, VTP version 2, VTP mode client. Now see guys, what I will be doing is now on every switch, like I am going to select the FA01. Just to configure the trunking, I will be selecting one interface to configure as trunk, because when I will be configuring one interface, the next will be automatically synchronized. Right guys? Any doubt
Yes,
in
sir.
this part? So on this server switch, I'll select the interface FA01, switch port, trunk. On this switch client, on this client also I'll select this FA02. So interface FA0/2, switch port, mode, trunk. On this transparent on FA02, interface FA0/2. Okay, configure terminal, interface FA0/2, switch port, mode, trunk. So now we have done the trunking. So now whenever like these switches are going to bypass the traffic from one device to another, so they are like, they will be easily able to send the VLAN database. Getting, guys? So any kind of query in this part? So let these ports get in the upstate. Okay, guys, now see, I'll go on the server switch. Let's do some verification part here. Guys, my console screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Show VTP status. Now see, guys, the VTP current version running is version 2. VTP domain is jatin.com. Pruning is disabled. I'll let you know what this pruning is. And if you will see, the configuration revision number is 5 and number of existing VLANs are 5. So configuration is 1 right now. So if you will see, configure terminal VLAN 10 I am creating here. Name HR department. Now if you will write do show VTP, so you will see the configuration number increase to 3 because the first command I entered was creation of VLAN, and then after the creation of VLAN, what I did, guys, I simply assigned the name to that particular VLAN, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that is why it increased and the number of the kept is count. So I have created here the VLAN which, like, let me show you, show VLAN brief, the VLAN 10 which is HR. Now you will see, like as of now we are where on the server mode, and I have created VLAN 10 on the server mode only. So I will be doing like, I'll assign some interfaces, configure terminal, VLAN 10, not VLAN 10. So let's say interface FA0, 10, switch port, mode, access, switch port, access VLAN 10. If you'll verify, show VLAN brief. So FA010 is now inside your HR VLAN. Now see, guys, like this we have done on the server switch, but the same information will be, synchronized by the client switch. So see, show VTP status first of all. And if you will see, the information is here, like the number of VLANs are 6, configuration is 3. And if you will see, show VLAN brief, VLAN 10 is there, but the interface is not there. But it is saving a lot of time. Like if you are creating VLANs on the server switch and they are bypassing the traffic on the connected devices in the VTP domain. So you don't need to go on all the devices and you don't need to configure VLAN separately inside your organization, right? VTP advertisements, or you can say VTP communications. So how it is going to do and how the data is being forwarded inside the network from one switch to another. So this is what we are going to understand in this part now. So basically, VTP uses a multicast address to advertise the the data. So let me write. It uses multicast address, multicast to we can say advertise its updates, advertise the updates. So like whenever it is advertising the updates across the trunk link to all the switches in the VTP domain, as this is what we all know, because once you have configured the trunking only, then only the traffic is being synchronized from server to the clients, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, what is the multicast MAC address which is used by the VTP? So, the address which is used by the VTP is 01 uh, 0100 uh, 0 C 3 times C and 4 times C. So this is the multicast address which is used by the VTP to update inside the network. Okay.
Okay,
Now,
sir.
yeah. Now we have three types of advertisements. Three types of advertisements in VTP. So somebody of you have like heard about these, if I'm not wrong. So like summary advertisement is there. Then we have subset advertisement, and lastly we do have the client request. So these are the types of your VTP advertisements. Now, like VTP advertisement is nothing but to update the VLAN database, guys. VTP are sending some advertisements every time, and the advertisements are always sent on the trunk ports of the VLANs which you have assigned, right? Like the trunk port on the VLAN ones, VLAN one, guys.
Yes, sir. Sir, these updates will send for every 2 seconds, or is there any time?
Like there is a specific time like for this, so we'll be coming on the time as well. So no
Okay.
worries. Yeah. So like the VTP advertisements, are always marked with a 32-bit configuration revision number. So if anybody is going to ask you the size of configuration revision number, so it is somewhat the 32 bits, and it identifies the most VLAN database like which you are using inside the network. Okay. And any change to the VLAN database, like if you have modified any VLAN, if you have deleted any VLAN, or like if you have created any new VLAN. So any change to the VLAN database will increment the number of the revision value, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So while VTP servers can change the VLAN database, so VTP client, they're not even able to advertise the updates to the other clients, even to the server as well, if the database has been changed from the server. And as long as the revision number is higher, the switch is going to accept the updates from that server only. Okay. Okay, guys. So now as we were discussing the VTP advertisements and the types of messages, so we do have the first one, which is your summary advertisements. So what are like, what is this summary advertisement and what is the information which is included in the summary advertisements? So the first thing in these summary advertisements, like they are sent out in every 300 seconds. Sent out in 300 seconds, in every 300 seconds. And inform all the VTP switches like the current configuration value. So inform, we can say, or synchronize the current configuration value, config value. Clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
And lastly, it also includes the VTP versions. I'm simply writing VTP V which versions, domain, like what is the domain you have configured, the config value, like configuration revision. I'm writing in short, guys. And like we do have the time and stamp, like at what time which log was generated. Okay, clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Now we do have the subset advertisements. Like what are these subset advertisements? So in these subset advertisements, they are sent out when there is a change in VLAN database. Sent out when there is a change in VLAN database. Like for example, if you have done some change. So in that case, like if you have deleted some VLAN, sorry. So if you have deleted, like for example, in servers which you are having 20, 30 VLANs, and you have deleted the VLAN number 20. So in that case, the subset advertisement is being sent like whenever you have done some changes inside your VLAN database. Okay. And it contains basically we can say like all the relevant information for the switches to make changes to the VLANs which are configured on these devices. Okay. Now we do have the client request, or we can say the advertisements. We can like client request, or you can say the advertisements by the last of this. So now see like what is this client request? So it is sent out when a switch requires the most recent copy of VLAN database. Like when a switch is asking for the VLAN database copy, like if you have some what new device which is connected as a server. So in that case, this is sent out when a new device asks for the copy of device, asks for the copy of new VLAN, recent VLAN database. Okay, guys.
That means if we configure new switch as a server, then these client devices will send it, sir.
Yeah, like when switch requires, it's not about like when a new device, or it's about the existing devices as well. Like if the existing device wants to synchronize the VLAN database, so the
Oh,
device wants to get the copy of the VLAN database to synchronize. So like in that case, this advertisement is sent out like this client request.
okay, sir.
And this advertisement is basically a request by a client to receive the more detailed subset advertisement. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Getting, guys, just to receive the subset advertisement. And what does the subset advertisement say? It's like when there is a change in the VLAN database. Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
whenever like it is always done by the client. See, like it is not done by the servers because servers are only going to send, not servers with the clients. And like the most recent subset advertisement, they are going to request to and configure the all the values. Okay. So if you'll see like what is the information which is consist like which these devices are consist of. So first of all, we do have the VLAN IDs here in these VTP advertisements, like what is the number of VLAN ID, as well as the trunking encapsulations, the ISL or 802.1Q. So what is the configuration number which is configured here? Then we do have the VTP domain, the domain which you have created. After the VTP domain, we do have the VTP configuration revision value, VTP config revision. And like apart from this, we do have the frame format, like because it is going to send on the layer 2 device. So we do have somewhat a frame here as well. So all the frame format will be there. And lastly, we do have the VLAN configurations, like whatever the configurations you have configured, as well as like it also includes the MTU size for each VLAN. Okay, guys, clear everyone?
Yes, sir.
So whenever we are talking about the VTP configurations, so VTP configurations are basically basically we can say it's a four-step configuration whenever we do talk about the VTP. So there must be one is like optional, which you can skip or which you are not allowed to use as well. So the first thing which we are going to assign is VTP domain, like what is the domain name, VTP password which you are going to apply, VTP mode, and lastly you have to apply the VTP version. So you can use any of the sequence. It's not mandatory that you are going to use domain and same like which we have written. So you can use any of the command for the first time, but the important thing is here like the configurations which you are doing here should be same on all the devices except the mode. Like mode can be different from different devices, but version must be same, password must be same, and domain should be same. Okay, clear everyone?
Yes, sir.
Now
Yes.
to very yes, Karun.
No, sir. Done.
So to verify the command is show VTP status, and like you can also use like this if you want to directly see the configuration, show VTP status pipe section, and like what is the current version it is running version, pipe section again, and operating VLAN. So like what is the number of VLAN which is running on which value, and like if you'll write the revision here, so you'll get the revision value as well here. Okay, okay guys.
Yes, sir. Sir, in like in real devices, if we forget any like configuration command, then shift plus question mark will work, sir, or not?
Yes, definitely it is going to work. Like I have showed you in real devices as well. So it is
Okay.
going to work. And the copy paste feature, the auto sensing feature,
Okay, sir.
it is also going to work in the real devices.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So like whenever you are adding new switch in the existing network of VTP guys, so make sure you always reset that switch to the configuration value of 0. Because if you have changed the configuration value, like if you have not changed the configuration and you have added the same value, so it is going to reflect inside your network and it will disrupt your network. Okay. And if you forgot to do that, like if you are just forgot to change the revision value, so it can lead to the deletion of the VLANs from a network. Okay. So like whenever we are talking about this VTP pruning, so this VTP pruning is nothing but it eliminates the unnecessary broadcast or multicast traffic through the switching infrastructure. So let me write. It eliminates the broadcast and multicast traffic, unnecessary broadcast and multicast traffic. Okay, guys. This is what VTP pruning is, and it is a feature of Cisco switches, which stops the VLAN update information where the traffic is being sent down to the trunk links. So if in this case the updates are not needed if you have configured the pruning, because it is only going to eliminate the unnecessary broadcast or multicast traffic. Because in case of Broadcast will be there because switches are connected with each other, but they are connected with the VTP domain. So VTP uses a multicast address. So both of the types of communication would be used in this case. Clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
It will be enabled by default.
No, it's not enabled by default. We need to enable it.
Oh,
By default, pruning is disabled. And always remember that VLAN 1 cannot be pruned because it is the administrative VLAN. So if anybody is going to ask you that I want to prune VLAN 1, so you're not allowed to do that. And VTP pruning must be enabled on the servers and then it will apply globally to the entire VTP domain. Okay.